let's move on to the South, where I do have a couple hot takes for the South. I have a medium and a mild take that I think a lot of people will predict, unless you're a Titans fan, and you definitely don't want to hear that one. But let's go ahead and start off with a medium take, and I have the Houston Texans, another one where I'm just doubling down on some of the stuff that we said of our positional rankings, and that is going to be Will Anderson records 15-plus sacks, and he makes a Pro Bowl. I don't think an All-Pro selection is in the works for him, at least not first-team All-Pro. I think there's a lot of good edge rushers. We talked about how good the edge rushers are in the NFL in that positional ranking video. But I think we ranked him somewhere in 5th, 6th, somewhere in that range. Again, 15-plus sacks. I think it's his breakout season. He had 11 sacks, 16 tackles for a loss last year. I don't think it's totally unheard of for him to get that 15, especially playing against weaker lines. In the potential in the Titans, not sure where they stand with their offensive line, but there's still a lot of question marks with some of their guys. The Jaguars' offensive line is not super duper strong. The Colts do have a strong offensive line. There's that. But regardless, I think Will Anderson is the type of guy he's gonna get his way this year pretty frequently.
Yeah, I said this in the positional rankings video, so I didn't want to use it as my hot take, but every year there is the guy, it happens in the NBA too, in making the All-Star team, where you talk about him as an All-Star player. You talk about him as, is he the defensive player of the year? And they don't get it that year, and then they're a shoe-in next year. I think Aiden Hutchinson is the defensive player of the year this year, but Will Anderson is right on his tails as the guy who probably deserved it more or just as much. But since he hasn't been in that conversation before, the voters don't give it to him.
Yeah.
So he's going to be that guy this year. Now, that's not my prediction, but just to piggyback, I have a huge belief in the head coach. I have a huge belief in the quarterback. I have a huge belief in a lot of that stuff down there. Unfortunately, they released their depth chart this week, and it doesn't look like John Mechie is climbing the ranks over there, which makes me sad. Yeah. But one newcomer to the team at the running back position is just absolutely desperate to remind the NFL who he is and what he's about. So my prediction for the Texans this year is Nick Chubb goes for 1,000 yards and 10-plus touchdowns.
I love that. I love Nick Chubb, man. That's a story everyone wants.
Me too, bro. Me too.
I think every
I don't know why, man. Hey, who would you like to go watch a football game with? Nick Chubb and Jonathan Taylor. Yeah. Don't ask me why. I just really love those guys. So
get it on the record. Drew loves dudes with thick thighs.
Chubbs.
And Chubbs. Let's move into the Tennessee Titans, where I have my mild take. The next two I have hot takes for, which are probably two of my hottest takes I have as well, that I would rank a couple of them as like super ultra spicy, and I think that those two rank there. But a mild take, I think Cam Ward is going to struggle in his rookie year. I'm not a big believer in Cam Ward and what he could do. I think he's going to be 12-plus interceptions, and he's going to be sub 3,000 yards passing. I think he's going to have a poor season.
Bryce Young rookie season?
All right, bro. The comparison is, frankly, it's Anthony Richardson in terms of the body, the play style, all that stuff. I'm not huge on Cam, especially being the first overall pick. I think there was a better quarterback out there to be the first overall pick, and he was drafted in the 5th round, and he's 4th on a quarterback depth chart in Cleveland. I'm not sure what's going on there. Just like you said earlier, I'm not a big believer in Cam, so I'm going to double down on that. The sub 3,000 yards passing and 12-plus interceptions, I think, is where Cam's going to go. Not a lot of weapons offensively for Tennessee, so not sure where you're going to be throwing the ball to.
That's certainly a take, man, because you're predicting him to have a shaky season and them to not be any good. I'm just going to read my prediction as I wrote it down.
Okay.
Cam Ward's shaky season has Tennessee thinking quarterback with their top 5 pick in next year's NFL draft. A la Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals.
I think it's possible, man. I'm not there. We didn't get a lot. We didn't be able to go through our draft rankings this past season because of life and how we ended up. We both moved out of California, but close to the same time. So we were able to put a bunch of pressure on the draft like we did the year before. So we were able to get a lot of our draft takes out there. But Cam Ward is to me, he is not the guy. Super developmental, and you're throwing him to a role to start immediately. It's not working out super well for Indy. We'll definitely get back to that in Anthony Richardson.
Well, and Will Levis is out for the season now with shoulder surgery. So you don't even have the ability to be like, oh, maybe we don't throw him into the fire to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Jags.
I think the Colts take is probably my hottest take, and it's probably the dumbest take too.
Okay, let's go. I like dumb.
So
you do that a lot.
I had the polar opposite take for this guy. I had one side and I had the other side. And it was really negative for Anthony Richardson. My original take was that Daniel Jones would end up starting more games than Anthony Richardson. And then I started to cue into the what's going on at Colts training camp, his footwork stuff he's really worked on, his mechanics themselves. And he looks better. And his mechanics and his footwork look better. And I'm going to put some of my eggs in that basket. And this is probably one of my dumbest takes. I think Anthony Richardson actually has a really good year, and he gets close to 4,000 passing yards this next season. He gets only about 3,800 to 39. I don't think he reaches the 4,000, but I think he gets close to 4,000 passing yards. And I think he rushes for 800 rushing yards on top of it. I think he has a 4,500 total yards season for the quarterback. He's been making leaps and bounds when it comes to his accuracy, and the mechanics come with that. Obviously, there's a lot of belief in the coach for the Colts and the offensive scheme that he can go in and cook up for him. I think he could put him in a position that can actually win games, that can actually make him successful. How much Anthony Richardson can or wants it is the question. A lot of his leadership stuff has been one of the biggest concerns about him, taking himself out of a game. All of that is huge concerns and has been the biggest concerns for Anthony Richardson outside of obviously the injury stuff too as well. If he could put it together, actually some of the training camp videos, if he can put it together this season, I think he can have a good one. So I wanted to be more positive, and I gave him close to 4,000 passing yards and 800 rushing yards this next season.
I will put a pin in this as to say, I hope you're correct.
Yeah.
I love me some AR-15. I want you to be right. But my prediction for the Colts this year is that they're all sorts of confused, and 3 different players start 4+ games at quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this year. I believe the coach believes in his system and what it should look like, and I think he's going to continue to stick parts in there until it looks the way he wants it to look. And it's going to lead to a lot of confusion down there in Indianapolis.
Yeah, man. You have a lot of weapons
Especially
out there
with
too.
And I don't mean to bring this up in a negative light, because rest in peace. But the Colts owner was of the Jerry Jones molds, where he had his fingers in on everything. And we don't know if Jim Irsay was pushing for Anthony Richardson. We don't know what the involvement there at the ownership level was. And now that's unfortunately not going to be there. Who knows what the head coach decides to do this year,
right,
with his system he believes in.
No, I'm with you. I think the Colts could be a successful team if they could put it together. We know the defense is solid. The offense has weapons. The offensive line is good. The running back's good. You have Pittman and Pierce and Downs, and you have a talented roster. It's about if the guy really charging the helm on the field is good enough and mature enough and puts things together for them to be successful. So I'm there. All right. Our Jaguars takes are about the same player. Again, another one that you and I talked about. It is about the most talked about player for the Jaguars, and that's Travis Hunter. See, their depth chart just came out too, and Travis is listed as wide receiver 1. Corner 3, which I wonder, is that more nickel corner is he listed as, or is it? I'm curious about that one. I thought that was interesting. I think to one singular team, Travis Hunter is going to be the most valuable rookie to one singular team, but I don't think he wins offensive or defensive rookie of the year. I think to one singular team, he is the most valuable, but I don't think he wins either award, because I think that there's guys who are going to be making a more significant impact on just one singular side of the ball, like Abdul Carter, like Ashton Genty. I think those guys are going to be pretty big favorites to win those awards. because of the impact they can make on the one singular side of the ball. I think Travis is going to be great on both sides. I just think that voters are going to be confused on how to assess awards to be given out there. And I think there's going to be a lot of outcry from fans if he does win an award. And if there's some favoritism because he plays both sides of the ball and he does well more on one side than the other, but he wins the award for the lesser side, I think there's going to be some interesting discourse around Travis Hunter this year, the award system.
Yeah, I'm not interested in rookie rankings with this prediction. I'm interested in overall positional rankings, and I think Travis Hunter is a top 15 wide receiver and a top 15 cornerback this year. Statistically wise, if not maybe snaps wise. So is he going to be top 15 in snaps at both positions? I'm not sure, but I think when it comes down to the raw stats overlaid over analytics and what it looks like, he's top 15 in both positions, wide receiver and corner. This reminds me a lot as a Sacramento born and raised fan of showing up to watch the Kings lose 50 games a year and just hoping that DeMarcus Cousins was going to go for 40 every night to be entertained. So that's what I think goes on in Jacksonville this year. They're going to put him out there to be entertained and drive fans to the ballpark. Right. And that is my, if you wanted a spicy overall team prediction, I think this is Mr. T-Law's last year in Jacksonville, but I wanted to talk about Travis Hunter. So
yeah,
top 15, both positions, NFL.